Hey guys, welcome back. Today we have what's for dinner. These are easy weeknight meals that are family friendly, budget friendly, low carb / keto friendly. But even if you were not either, they are still very good and very easy to make, and they're homemade. So if you guys are interested in seeing some recipes I came up with that I know your family will love, please stay tuned. Okay, so I am starting on my chicken soup. We're gonna do like a hearty chicken vegetable soup. It's gonna be for my whole family, but it is gonna be keto friendly. So the first thing I have in here is about, I think it's 4 chicken breasts, boneless, skinless chicken breasts from Costco. And I just went ahead and threw them. I put a 1 cup of water in the bottom, or 1.5 cups of water, I'm sorry. And I set my timer for about 20 minutes and I seasoned them heavily with salt and pepper. So that's gonna be the chicken for my soup. And then what I do is the broth that's left in here, I use some of it for the actual soup, so I don't have to season it as heavy. We're gonna do a bunch of veggies in it. Then we're gonna let it natural release for 10, and then we'll quick release after the 10 minutes. All right, so I let it natural release for like 12 minutes because I got sucked in on my phone. That's what happens. So what I do is my cabinets are painted, so I don't want this to, like, you know, take off the finish or whatever. So I put like a hand towel over it, and then I get my flippers. No way. And then I do like that. Always do it with the flippers, guys. Safety first. But let's start prepping our veggies and getting that together. All right, so we're gonna get started on preparing our produce. So these are chayotes. They are like a member of the squash family. So basically, you guys, if you haven't seen me make like apple pie with them, you can totally do that with them, and they're very, very good. But you're gonna go ahead and you're going to decore them. You guys just see me pull out the core out of the middle. We have some celery. We're gonna cut that up. Some fresh kale. I believe I'm going to show you the chicken broth. Make sure you check your chicken broth because they're not all made the same. This is the seasoning we're going to use, the caldo de pollo. We're going to throw in some cilantro and some lime. I'm going to cut up this red onion and we're going to fry that with a little bit of oil. But I am going to, after I take the core out of the chayote, I am going to go ahead and remove the skin and just peel them. And then we're going to dice them up. These are going to act as our potatoes. They're very good. No one will know, and they are low carb. Okay, so I'm gonna I got my little pot here. I'm gonna put the heat on medium. I'm gonna use another thing of this avocado oil, and I'm just gonna give the bottom of the pan a little coat, just so I can fry up my red onion. My nose is itchy, sorry. So we're gonna let this get hot. I got some fresh cloves of garlic that I'm gonna use my garlic press and drop them in. I think I'm gonna do 3 of them because they're pretty big. Make sure you're stirring that. You don't want to burn the garlic. Okay. You see the noodle or the onions are starting to cook down. The garlic is browning. Smells really good already, and we don't really have anything. We don't have much even going. All right. Next up is going to be our chicken broth. I'm also going to take the broth out of that Instapot from the chicken we boiled in there. Okay. Just because that's kind of, if you have bones in that, it'll be even better. That'll be like a legit bone broth, but we don't. So we're going to start adding in our chayote, which is like a squash, right? I cut up everything because we're going to want that to cook down for a while. And we're also going to add in our celery. I call it celery, I'm not gonna lie to you, but because you guys, I'm trying to watch what I usually do is because it takes these vegetables a long time to soften, right? The chayote is gonna take a while, and so is that celery. I let these cook down first for a majority of the time. Once this is pretty much simmering, that is when I will go ahead and add the bouillon. But I'm just gonna go ahead and let these like do its thing. The celery's gonna give off some flavor, so is the chayote, and I want them to get nice and cooked down. Our chicken is already cooked. I have it right here in this pot. I shred it with a fork because I like big chunks, but if you like to do that hand mixer trick, you can. I don't like it like that because I feel like it makes it like almost mushy, and I like for my chicken to still have like some, what was that noise? To have some kind of, like I want it to be like shredded, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be mushy. So, because that's how like Leo and the kids will eat it too. Yeah, so let's let this cook. I want this to come to a simmer, like a rolling bubble. Then we'll start adding our ingredients and we'll add in some more stuff. But for right now, it's all good. We're just gonna leave it alone. All right, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to do its thing. It's getting hot, it's starting to roll, okay? Before I add in my seasoning, I'm going to add in the cauliflower rice and let that cook down as well, because that's gonna add some water because it's frozen and I don't want it to water down the seasoning. Also, I would like to mention this. I know how to season for my pots because I am that person now. I am officially like an old school mom. You know how like you ask your mom like, you know, how she seasons whatever? I don't know, I just know how to do it. You know, like you just make a recipe so you know how to do it. I know for this pot, the water has to reach those little dots right there, and I have to use 5 tablespoons of bouillon. I don't know what your pots look like, but if you're using like this is just a regular like stock pot, I fill them to the lines where the handles are, and I use about 5. If you guys don't want a lot of seasoning, I would start off at 3, let it all cook up, taste it, and then add accordingly. But I know for my family we like 5, okay? And you're like, oh well, it's not reaching there, but that cauliflower is gonna give off some water and it'll reach that line. If you guys were not low carb, I highly recommend using like an orzo pasta, which is like a rice shaped pasta. I love using those for like noodle soups, for like any type of like brothy soup like this. I don't know, I just really think they taste really well. They taste really good. If you guys have never tried the orzo, you have to. But since we are keto, and my kids, they don't even notice a difference anymore when it comes to like cauliflower rice and stuff like that. They eat it, so it's not a big deal for us. But if you guys were not low carb, you could still totally use this recipe. You didn't have to use the squash. You can use regular potatoes, and you can use the orzo pasta, which I would recommend. But even if you weren't keto or whatever, it's always nice to, you know, get your vegetables in there, you know. Also, if you weren't keto, you could also put ears of corn in here. I like using the frozen ones, and they're already broken into quarters, and just tossing them in here. And you could also throw in some zucchini and carrots. I could have used carrots, but I try not to really eat those because they do have a lot of sugar in them. So, okay, so you can see already it's already came up a little bit. So now we're gonna use our bouillon. All right, this is caldo de pollo from Knorr. Pot, I know that we need 5, so I just sprinkle it. Again, dirty keto, guys. If you wanted to prefer to use some of your own seasoning from inside your cabinet, you can totally do that as well. But for today, we wanted to use ours. I think you can also do the soup bases. I used to do those a lot as well. Be careful though, watch all your ingredients with this stuff because some of those bases do have a lot of carbs. But again, do what works for you and your family. Not everybody eats like we eat. Next thing I'm going to do, this is my diced up chicken. I want the chicken to also absorb the flavor of the bouillon, okay? This is how I do it. My mother-in-law, when she does it, she cooks the chicken. She does it with chicken drumsticks. I used to do that, but it makes me nervous with my kids to give them chicken like that with the bones and it's soft, so I'm afraid they're gonna choke on a bone. So you guys can do exactly how like she does, like with the chicken drumsticks and then cooking them in there, and she doesn't even add like the Knorr in there. She'll just do you know, like a bone broth and just season it heavily with salt. But I do mine just a little bit different because the chicken bones always make me really nervous with my kids and stuff. So okay, so you can see it's super hearty. like a stick to your rib type of meal. And we still haven't even added our kale, but that kale will go in last. So, and then we'll put a lid on it so it shrivels up, you know? And then we'll top it with some cilantro. But we're gonna let this cook down and do its thing, and then we'll check on it. All right, for a side for our soup, I'm gonna make 90-second bread. This is by far the easiest, the most tasty bread recipe, like DIY, like keto bread you will ever have, I promise. So right here I have 1 tablespoon of melted Kerrygold butter. I'm gonna take 3 tablespoons of almond flour. I'm gonna take some baking powder, a 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. Just a little smidge, 1/4. 1 egg. And you're just gonna mix this up. And then you just throw it in the microwave for 1 minute. But I think it's honestly, and I know people are gonna probably come for me, but it's way better than a chaffle will ever be, in my opinion. So yeah, that's gonna go into the microwave for a minute. All right, we're gonna serve us up some soup here. Be careful when you take it out of the microwave, it's gonna be hot. And then let me wrap this up so you guys can see. And I like to put it in these little, you can put it in a mug too if you wanted, but I like to do this because it makes like a perfect like biscuit. And yeah, so I'm gonna put this on a plate. Don't forget to, you have your lime to go on your soup here. So you're gonna go ahead. And you guys can see here is our 90-second bread. See all like the nooks and crannies? And it'll go with our soup. Keto-fied caldo de pollo chicken soup. And you can see there's lots of chunks, lots of veggies. Very good for you. Feeds the soul and the belly, you know what I mean? But all right, guys, here is what's for dinner number 1. All right, so tonight's recipe is going to be something I've never tried and is kind of made up. But I was watching Rachel Ray last night, or not last night, like 2 days ago, and she made like, she called them eggplant steaks, and she breaded them in like egg and then flour and then fried them and then put a little cheese on them and some marinara sauce. And I was like, hey, how about I do that, but I keto-fy it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first off, if you've never worked with eggplant before, it is keto friendly. I've done these. I've done eggplant parm, and I've also done the refried beans with the eggplant, which were really good. But if you're going to like cook them, you're going to want to cut them and put a little bit of salt and lay them on some paper towels just to, Benny. Sorry, you're gonna wanna go ahead and cut them and lay them out on some paper towels so they dry out. If you don't, they're gonna be a little rubbery. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna put some salt and we're gonna lay them out on the paper towels, and you're gonna see how much moisture they actually give off. So how I'm going to do it is I'm just gonna cut the tip off and then the edge like that. And then I'm going to slice them this way. That one could have probably been bigger. We're going to use the same rub that we used, or like the same batter I used for the chili rellenos. So it's going to be like a batter, and we're going to fry them in some avocado oil in the cast iron. I'm just taking off the skin part because I don't know if we're supposed to eat that or not. I never really grew up eating eggplant, so these are kind of first for me. I don't know how this recipe is gonna come out, but we're gonna wing it. So again, just cutting it this way. Okay, so this is just some sea salt, I believe. Yeah, sea salt. And I'm just going to sprinkle the eggplant with the sea salt, because that's gonna help remove some of the moisture as well. Give it a nice little coating. Salt Bay for life. So we're gonna let these sit out for probably about 20 minutes or so, just so we can remove some of that water, and then that's it. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit, and then we'll come back and we'll flip and we'll salt the other side. We're going to separate the whites from the yolks and make our first phase of our batter with the whites only. So now we're going to just use our hand mixer and we're going to whip these egg whites until they become like peaks. Okay, so it's going to be a few minutes and then I'll be back. So you can see that it's become peaks. So we're going to put our blender on low and we're going to start adding in the yolks. We're going to put our blender on low and we're going to add the yolks in one by one, mixing them in thoroughly, okay? Okay, we're going to take our oat fiber. That's going to act as our binding agent, kind of like a flour base for us. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of that to our mix, okay? I got this off of Amazon. So we're gonna mix that all up and then we'll be back. All right, so here's my cast iron. I have it filled up like less than halfway with avocado oil. This is the one we used. We used almost like, we used a good amount of it. So this is what I've been using. I picked up a couple of them the other day because they were on sale. So pretty good, I guess. I guess because it has a higher smoke point. So that's why I've been using it. So we're going to let this get hot. But here is our assembly line. So you'll see that these also have like the sweat beads on them. You'll see that these have the sweat beads on them as well. So I'm just going to kind of just dab them on both sides. And you can see like, Benny, you can see that the paper towel is all wet. So it's really absorbing that fluid. And we're gonna, this has to heat up, so give this some time. But what we're going to do is, same way we did the chili rellenos, is we're going to just take these, dip them and coat them in here, and then drop them in the grease. Or in the oil, not in the grease. But this is kind of a made up recipe. Like I said, I seen Rachel Ray do something along the lines of this, and it was like a egg bath, and then she stuck it in the flour and then put it into the grease or to the oil. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, but keto-fying it. I really... So you're gonna let these fry. This batter is looking really nice today. Guys, you're gonna be seeing this batter in a lot of videos. I'm just letting you know because it's really good. Okay, so to go on top of those, I'm gonna put a little bit of this Kirkland shredded mozzarella, and then I'm going to warm up about a half jar of this Rayo's marinara. Love this stuff. I get mine at Costco. I get 2 of them for 10 bucks. Bomb deal. And it's, the macros are really on point. So 5 carbs, 4 grams of sugar. So yeah, we're gonna do like an Italian theme. And then here is how our fried up zucchini is looking. What we do have here is just a tin pan with some paper towel just to kind of absorb some of the oil that comes off. But yeah, they're coming out really good. I'm pretty excited. This will be a great meal too for Lent, since I know that's coming up for those who celebrate, or if maybe you like to do meatless meals, this will be a great idea as well. And if you guys had that healthy noodle pasta, which if you guys have it at your Costco, I'm super jealous. We're out at ours right now, and I really, really want it. But this would be really good to go over like a bed of pasta with some Rayo sauce. Hell yeah. So there you go. I'm gonna heat up that Rayo sauce, and we're gonna keep cooking these up, and then we'll be back. All right, my friends, here is our dinner. This is that like breaded eggplant fried with a little bit of Rayo sauce and some fresh shredded mozzarella. Again, this would be perfect for anybody who's not eating meat, or maybe if you're doing Lent, or just for an easy meal. If you had some of those healthy noodles to put on the bottom with a little bit more of the Rayo sauce, would be even better. Again, guys, make sure you take the skin off of the eggplant before you fry it up, just because it is a little tough. But yeah, this is very good. The batter is the best. Like, I love it so much, and the meat of the eggplant tastes really good with the batter on it, and it's just really good. It's really good. It's a light meal, and it's easy and cheap. So here you go. Here is dinner number 2. Happy Sunday, my friends. We are getting a late start on dinner because we've been running around with our children. So it's actually 7 o'clock. This is really late for us to have dinner, huh? Mm-hmm. But it's actually going to be a easy dinner, and we got our favorite guy in the kitchen. So actually Leo's cooking dinner tonight. I'm just going to be supervising. So what are we making tonight, honey?
Some sirloin steaks.
Some sirloin steaks. So we've had these sitting out for like 20 minutes so it gets to room temperature, and they're kind of thick, so Leo's just cutting them in half so they're like smaller. But yeah, so we're just gonna do that. He's gonna fry them in the cast iron, and we're gonna have some steak. And then I was talking to him about sides, and I said, Lee, what do you want to do for sides for dinner? I feel like sides are always the hardest part of a meal. I feel like you could always figure out a protein, but to figure out like a side dish is always kind of complicated. And he's like, oh, I want to do mushrooms. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? So he's like, how about like a cream of mushroom? So this is kind of our idea. I have 2 containers of these mushrooms here. These are the cremini mushrooms. I got 2 packs, so we're gonna clean them off, you know, get all the dirt and everything, wash the mushrooms, because that's nasty. We're gonna just slice them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this mascarpone cheese. It's like a Italian cream cheese. It's actually really good, guys. It's very, very creamy, and the macros are everything. Bless you. Thank you. Oh, that's good manners. Well, let me see if I can show you. 0 carbs. Let's see. 7 fat, 1 protein. 0 sugar. So this is pretty good, and that's for 1 tablespoon. So we'll probably put like 2 or 3 tablespoons of it mixed in with there with some fresh garlic. Just fry them up, maybe with a little bit of avocado oil, mix in a couple tablespoons of mascarpone and some fresh garlic, probably some pepper, and then we're going to shred the rest of this parmesan on top of it, and I think we're going to toss it after that. We've had this for quite some time, but it's been holding its ground. So yeah, that's kind of going to be our side. We're going to have some steak and some cream mushrooms. I don't know if that's like a real thing, but yeah, so that's what's for dinner. So we always cook our steaks on the cast iron. We usually do it just like a couple minutes on each side. You don't want to overcook your meat. You ideally want your meat to be like 140 degrees. That's like the perfect medium rare, because if you do anything more than that, it's just gross. It's just like real tough and dry, and you're not going to really get the full potential of the meat. So, right, babe?
Yep.
So that's my honey taught me all that. And he's going to start seasoning the steaks here with a little bit of coarse black pepper. That's why he waits. But yeah, so coarse black pepper and some salt, and that's all you need. The meat's pretty good itself, so very, very simple. Salt Bay. How long do you keep them on each side?
These are only about a ½ inch thick, so probably about 2 minutes each side.
And then we just go ahead and put them in this foil pan, and then we just let them sit. We don't mess with them because they'll still continue to cook, and then you want all the juices to settle too, right there?
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm like an official person knowing about all this stuff. Okay, so here are the mushrooms. I just went through and cleaned them off. I know Leo had told me before that you shouldn't rinse them, that you really should just kind of dust off the dirt. But I don't feel like they get clean enough for me that way. So I cleaned them off, I strained them, and then I put them on a paper towel, and then, you know, diced them up. So there's a good amount, but they do shrink. So right here on this frying pan, put it up right next to our steak friends here. I have some avocado oil in here. I'm just going to drop them in. So I'm going to add a couple dashes of salt in here. The salt is really going to help release the water in the mushrooms as well. And then, again, I'm not going to start adding any type of cream sauce or anything like that to them until they are kind of cooked down. Because, like I said, they really wither away. And I don't want to add too much to it because you may not need that much. So here's our side. This will be really quick, honestly. It doesn't take very long at all. So we're just gonna let them do their thing in this pan. Super simple. If you guys, again, with the healthy noodles, but I cannot speak more like highly of those noodles. They're very, very good. This mushroom pasta dish, you can throw like the pasta in with this mushrooms, with the mascarpone and some fresh Parmesan and some garlic. Honey, that will be so good as a side with some steak. Yes. But again, my Costco plays me and we don't have any right now. So they're out of stock. Really makes me upset. Mr. Costco man, please rectify the situation. Sincerely, Danielle. But alright, I'm going to cook these down. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of this garlic powder and just kind of give it a little coat. If you have fresh garlic, I thought I had some, but I don't. I've been using it a lot. And then the next thing we have is our mascarpone. I'm just going to take a couple tablespoons. You can totally measure it out if you want to be a little bit more precise. And I'm just going to do a couple dollops in there. And then we're just going to let it cook down and mix with our mushrooms and kind of just mix everything in. And it's going to make its cream sauce. You can see it's joining up. It's going to be really, really good. If you wanted to add more, I'm just kind of watching it, and if I have to add more, I'll add more. But I don't necessarily think I'm going to have to. We'll see though. We'll see how it goes. We are going to top it with some fresh Parmesan as well. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of this baking binder, the Xanthan Naquar. It's just to thicken up this sauce in the pot here, just because, you know, it does carry off a little bit of water. If you guys weren't using, if you weren't keto, you can totally use a little bit of flour to make like a roux, but we don't, we aren't doing that. So I'm just going to make some space in the center of my pot there. And I'm just going to take about 1 teaspoon-ish and drop that in my pan. And then I'm going to use my whisk and I'm going to whisk it together, just whisking it together. And that'll thicken up everything.
She be thick though.
Right? So then it's more like gooey. And then when we'll top the Parmesan on top, it'll make it cheesy as well. Alright, so now we got it on low heat. I'm going to take my Parmesan and my cheese grater here. Probably should use the other side. And we're just going to put a nice layer of the fresh Parmesan on the top of our... Alright, so here is our plate. We have a nice piece of cooked steaks. A nice piece of steak sitting here next to our mushrooms with the fresh Parmesan and the mascarpone and all the delicious little morsels there. And it's a nice thick sauce because we did use that baking binder. Again, if you like it to be more of a, you know, liquidy sauce, you don't have to do that. Or if you weren't keto, you can totally go ahead and just use a flour and make your own roux that way. I did want to kind of show you guys what the steak looked like on the inside. You want to try these mushrooms and see how they taste good?
Yeah.
Got this whole plate up right here. Oh man, they're delicious. I think they're really good. Try them out.
Oh, they came out good.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. All right, guys. So this was kind of just a thrown together thing, but perfection. Super easy too. So you don't have to use those specific mushrooms. You can use whatever one you find at your local grocer. These are just the one I went ahead and chose. But here you go. Here is your third What's for Dinner. Hopefully you guys find some inspiration from this meal. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching my What's for Dinners. Make sure you guys subscribe, turn on your notification bells, hang out, do this keto thing with us. And you don't necessarily even have to be keto. You could just be someone who likes to eat and wants to eat something good and needs dinner ideas, and I got your back. So, all right, guys, I will see y'all on the next one. Take it easy, friends.